Good evening. It's Laurie French, President of the Canadian School Board Association. I'm here again with Mr. Irvine Carvery. We are so grateful that you're spending the time speaking to CSBA and with trustees that we represent across Canada. As we wrap up this series of discussions on racism in education, what are the key messages that you would like to share with trustees?
Thank you very much, Laurie. First of all, before I answer that question, I just want to say what a pleasure it is and an honor and to help in my small way in terms of the road that we're on to bring social justice and equality throughout our education system here in Canada. It is indeed an honor, and any small thing that I can do to assist is definitely something that I'm more than willing to do. You know, as a person who's lived their lives here in Nova Scotia, I have dealt with racism from the time I was born. The history of racism here is just, it's evident. You know, it wasn't until the late 1960s before we got rid of segregated restaurants and establishments here in Halifax and Nova Scotia. The last segregated school didn't go down until the 1980s. We had a separate but not equal education system here in Nova Scotia. So my lived experience is one of having to confront that, having to live it, but at the same time having to manage it, to deal with people, to be able to lend my voice to the chorus of people who were trying to educate the larger society in terms of the impact of racism onto us as a people. That's my experience. You know, even as an elected chair of the Halifax Regional School Board, I face racism. I faced it from fellow board members. I faced it from the public that we were dealing with. And I had to deal with it, but my life's experience had me ready to deal with it and to be able to continue to be positive and to move forward. You know, we need to change the whole education experience for African Canadian students and our Indigenous students. It has to change. They have to feel welcome in that system. They have to feel that they can be successful. They have to feel that they are just as important as every other student in the system. This is the work of the trustees and our school boards and our education system here in Canada. You know, the negative impact on African Canadian Indigenous students is real, and it must be addressed by all of us. Providing supports to help them survive the system is not enough. They have to excel in the system. You know, the students coming to your school, do you know them? Trustee learning and professional development is essential. Learning means asking questions. We will all make mistakes and we will misspeak. Don't stop talking. Silence is another form of racism. You know, if you're not speaking out against it, if you're not doing anything about it, then you're a part of the problem. You've made the statement that the status quo is good enough. Well, the status quo is not good enough. Every student can learn. Every student must learn. That is your responsibility. That is the responsibility of the education system here in Canada, that we all succeed in becoming all that we can be in this country. You know, I was quite surprised listening to news the other day to hear that in Ontario, they were going to stop streaming. You know, I shook my head. I said, wow, You know, we recognized the damage of streaming here in Nova Scotia many years ago, many years ago. You know, when you take bright, promising young African and Indigenous students and you stream them into high school so that that high school material does not prepare them for university, then you've made a decision on what position in life those children are going to achieve. That is not your role. Your role is for them to become Prime Minister of Canada if they want to. So I was quite surprised when I heard that. I said, wow, we really do have a lot of work to do here in Canada. And coming out of streaming, one of the challenges that we continue to face in our education system here in Nova Scotia is the one of individual program planning, or IPPs as they are called. And that's simply where a teacher feels that a student is having difficulty in a subject or a number of subjects at a grade level, and they are put on to a performance plan to help them with that. But what in the end result, what ends up happening is that these students are moved through the system all the way through to graduation out of high school, and some of them still not being able to properly read and write. And my concern around that is you have to take a look at your measurement systems within your education system, within your school board. How do you measure the success of a school? Is it based on the standardized testing that our students do? Because if it is, one of the fears I have is that teachers are looking at students who are maybe a little difficult to teach and putting them on IPPs simply because of the fact that those students do not write the standardized testing. So they won't negatively impact on the performance of your school. So those are policies, those are procedures, those are the things you need to take a look at to ensure it's not happening within your board. And the last thing I'll say to all of your members, Laurie, is that at any time that they would like for me to come in and do some, take a look and do some talking, professional development, I am more than willing to do that. Thank you.
Well, I have a feeling, Irvine, that we will be taking you up on that offer and offering opportunities for trustees across Canada to learn further. So thank you. You've pointed out in this segment in particular some critical considerations for us to ensure that our policies and our decisions are not causing harm, and that these will guide us as we really start to examine for bias and really start to have those difficult conversations. So thank you. You've honored us with your wisdom and sharing through this series. Thank you so much. And I really do look forward to speaking with you again. Thank you.
Well, Laurie, you know, before I leave, I just want to congratulate you as president. The work you're doing, I know, is difficult work. But you and in your position have decided that this is work that needs to be done for your organization to better enhance it. So that is a true mark of a good leader, a strong leader, to recognize, and despite opposition, and I'm sure you've had a little bit of, and you will receive flack, a little bit of backlash over this, but stay strong. Know that you're doing the right thing, and right makes might.